turning in because we have somebody so special today here at the office. Please meet Fred from Mibel Biochemistry. This is our amazing red snow algae in our new Mountain Day cream that really was a must-have because it has special superpowers. And so Fred is the owner and the founder of this very famous ingredient company in Switzerland that brings for many, many years some of the most innovative ingredients to the market, won many, many prizes in Europe about it, and he will tell us a little bit more about it.
Yes, so the snow algae we discovered on the glacier fields in Switzerland, and we thought if this algae can survive on this ice and exposed to so much UV light, it must contain special ingredients which protect this algae against this environment. And this was our plan then, to make this algae available for the cosmetic industry. To do that, we collected the snow, and out of the snow we could then isolate this special algae, and now we can multiply it in special bioreactors, so we don't have to go back all the time to the glaciers to get some material, so we can cultivate it in a sustainable way in our, let's say, in our factory to make it available for the cosmetic industry. And of course we have done a lot of studies showing that this red snow algae extract can protect the skin, and especially can also protect it against environmental stress factors like UV light, cold, and so on.
That actually impressed me the most when I saw the clinical studies in depth. These are double-blinded, real clinical studies on the red snow algae in an alpine climate where extreme hydration was discovered, significant reduction in wrinkles. It just really helped the skin in a very short period of time to generate itself. And we will post more information and the link to the website later on, so you can, really learn about the company, learn about that ingredients, because that's what it is all about. Not the same things don't work in the same climate, and when you are in an elevated place where air is thinner, so less air pressure, the skin has a harder time to keep on hydration. So it needs really the intelligence of these plants and to study nature of how a plant survives in an environment that as humans we could not survive, or other plants cannot survive, and there is something behind it. And that is studied as well. So how long did it take you to study on the red snow algae? How long did that take?
Actually, it took us quite some time because it's quite difficult to establish the process to grow this algae, and also took us quite some time to establish all the clinical data to show and prove the efficacy of the product. So to say a figure, I think it took us about 4 years from the idea to have the first sample ready for customers.
Yeah, and I heard you, it's on the website too, but 2015 you won the prize as best ingredients in the EU, so congratulations on that, Fred, because I know that that's not an easy one with thousands of ingredients coming out. You have to stand out, you have to do better, so that's wonderful.
Thank you.
I personally when I'm up in the mountains, and here in California we have above 1,000 feet, we have around Palm Springs, you are right away up in the mountains very quickly. It made such a big difference to my skin when I did the first testing on it. I always tell everybody too, when it comes to ingredients, it is very important for the brand to really put the right amount in it, that the manufacturer makes the clinical studies on it, because just putting a little bit of the red snow algae will not make any difference. You have to put in the 2 to 3% that the manufacturer recommends. So we currently have 2% of the red snow algae in Pour More, but we are upgrading actually to 3% to have the full amount in it, because it has been such an amazing ingredient and we are very proud to have it in there. So, but we're not stopping there. We are actually working already on future products. There's an exciting new ingredient as the industry, and I know I talk all the time about it. Skincare per skin type, that really is a concept that started in the 50s when the first real cosmetic came on the market with Elizabeth Arden and Estee Lauder and all these amazing women who have created our industry. But in this 50, 60 years later, we learned a lot about how skin works and, got much more studies into medicine. And today we know that the outer skin where cosmetics actually has an impact, because we talk about it, it's not a drug. So it cannot go below the skin barrier. It cannot change a skin cell. It would literally, you would need a prescription for that. But cosmetics can do a lot for the outer layer of your skin and can make that look so much more beautiful and hydrated. And, it can really reduce your wrinkles and fine lines that are on the surface, brown spots on the surface, if you apply it in the right way. So application per climate comes more and more in the industry as being the way to go, and that's in ingredients as well. And your lab has been, I think, on the forefront, is a real trailblazer in looking into how the climate affects skin and how we can learn from even climate change, what you told me today. So let's talk about the moss first, but then also let's talk about what we learned from the glaciers and from glaciers disappearing. That's super interesting as well.
Yes, you're talking about our new ingredient, the moss Celtec #1. This is an ingredient which is based again on a biotechnology concept, so we can grow moss plants in a special way and make them available for the cosmetic industry. Now, why are moss plants interesting for cosmetics? Our interest was that the moss plant has been the first plant who conquered the earth. So life started in the water, in the oceans, but then plants came on earth, and these were the moss. And why could they do that? Because the moss was able to adapt very fast to different changes of the climate. And in that way, this was the first plant coming onto Earth. And 400 million years later, the moss is still there because it's so flexible to adapt to climate changes. And we found that this property can also be delivered to skin cells. And for that, the moss plant extract can activate kind of the resilience of the skin to adapt to changes. So for example, if you are out, it's hot and humid, and when you go into your office, it's cold and dry because of air conditioning, that's a huge stress for the skin. And if you do it 10 times a day, your skin is getting very bad.
Yeah.
And we could show in our clinical studies that the moss extract can activate the reaction or speed up the reaction of the cells to adapt to these changes. And this gives a perfect ingredient for skin who is stressed by the climate.
Yeah, and made it the perfect ingredient to be in the Pour More products, because that's what our story is about, what Pour More is about, that skin will be so much better when you actually treat it per the climate you are in. And some skincare ingredients can be used for all climates, like the moss, because it's so adaptable and has gone through 400 million years of history on Earth, from, as you said, a lot of UV light to little UV light. It adjusts to all these crazy different climates that we had in the millions and millions of years, and has survived. So you can use that in all climates, to the red snow algae that is really a high altitude ingredient, which should be in a skincare that has really no, is dealing with an environment where there's no humidity, where there's low air pressure. So a regular moisturizer evaporates as fast as water evaporates out of your skin. So you need a different kind of technology for that moisturizer to hold the ingredients in. So that's what red snow algae is perfect for that. So you find your different formulation. Everything is unique, but some of it can be used for everything. So, and then I can listen to Fred all the time because I love the glacier story as well. can you share a little bit about the glacier skincare that is coming up, what we're learning from, I'm from Austria, as you know, where we have the Dachstein, one of the biggest glaciers we have, and global warming, global warming, that you don't have to believe in it or not, but it's actually happening. It's a scientific fact. And, the cause of it might be, that people don't agree on it, but it is a fact that the planet is heating up. And our mountains, he is from Switzerland, I'm from Austria, they are very, very much affected by it, the glaciers. And so we see the glaciers actually disappearing. But, his company is as positive about the climate change as we are, because we can't change that it is coming. So what we have to do is we have to be smart about it, we have to not ignore it, and we have to live with it and make life as perfect as possible in it. So tell us about that story, because it's also amazing.
It's a story that we are interested in climate change, and we said, okay, we have these glaciers which are melting. Now, they have been there for hundreds of thousands of years. There have been areas which have been covered by glaciers. And then these glaciers are going back, and what comes out is a soil which has never accessible for us. And so we did an expedition with experienced people, and we went to these places and took samples of the earth there, which freshly came out, which was covered by glaciers for thousands of years. And we started to isolate new bacteria out of this soil, and we are now investigating if these new bacteria could generate for us novel cosmetic ingredients with unknown benefits for the skin. So this is still research.
Very exciting.
I think it's a very nice strategy.
Yeah.
And we're looking forward that this will come up maybe in a new
that is very exciting. And again, this is really the advantage of Mibel Biochemistry, and that's why I want you to really check them out, because they do everything with real clinical studies. I know we believe in consumer research, and it's important to have a consumer satisfaction study, but when it comes to ingredient, I'm a true believer in blind, double-blind, placebo-controlled studies, so we really know if it works or not. So you can really rely on the skincare you buy, that they actually have these efficacy rates, and then you can really enjoy it to the way. So before we go off air, I want to show again our Mountain Day Cream. I know we are very, very low in stock, but we are getting very soon a new shipment from France. So this is our new Mountain Day Cream with the amazing award-winning Red Snow Algae, and as you can see, it has a slightly purple tint to it. That already helps with the color correction, because you have when your skin turns dry, it gets like a little palish in the dryness and a little bit reddish, so it helps with turning your skin immediately into a beautiful, hydrated, protected surface, your complexion. So I always show here, I don't have any pore more. I don't know how good you can see it, but we're going to make sure we post again our hands. My hands, not our hands, but my hands. So you can see the difference where I use pore more, which is here, and where I have not used it. And I think the photo that we have is 365 days. I know it's now a little bit over 365 days, but you can still see how effective pore more really is, because we're working with real ingredients that have the real studies, and that makes all the difference. Well, Fred, thank you so much.